Alright guys, so in this video we are going to create our very first Java program, which is going to be a Java console application. And then we are going to look at each and every element within that program to understand what those elements are. And those elements form the fundamentals of Java. So please pay attention to what I'm explaining in this video, because this is going to help you in all the future videos in the series. So every program we create in this series would be synced to this core Java demo GitHub repository. Now it is a public repository for your future reference. Branch names is kept the same as part of the series you are watching. So for example, this is part 3 of this video series. So you have to open part 3 branch to check out the code shown in this video. So let's get started. The first thing guys that we have to do is we have to create a workspace. So what is a workspace? A workspace is a directory on the disk used to, number 8, group together a set of related projects, number 2, some configurations pertaining to all these projects, and number 3, some settings for Eclipse itself. So I have already created this folder core Java demo. Let's double click on this. It is currently empty. All we have to do is copy this path. Okay. Now the next step is we have to launch Eclipse, and we have already downloaded Eclipse in our previous video, and there might be a shortcut onto your computer. So just double click on that. Okay, and this is going to launch this screen for you. Okay, in here you just have to provide in the path that we copied in the previous step, and once that is done you just have to click on launch. Now let's wait for Eclipse to open up. Alright, so this is the landing page of Eclipse. Now let's close this welcome screen. Now the next thing is that you have to understand is the perspective. So basically what is a perspective? It's a kind of interface, which has different components, like on the left you have package explorer, down below you would see the console. You don't require this outline. Okay, so where do I find this perspective thing? So you click on this, okay, and you see all these different options. So we are currently working in Java default perspective, guys. Okay, so just click open. Okay, now what will happen if you close one of these sections? Okay, now it's very simple. You go to Windows and you go to perspective and you reset the perspective. You click on reset perspective and the package explorer section is back. Okay, now in here you see different options like create a Java project, then in the file also you have new and then Java project, and from here also you can create a Java project. Okay, so what is a project? So project is a group of source files and the settings with which you build, run and debug those source files. Okay, so let's click on this create a Java project. Alright, so this is the interface, new Java project. Got to provide the project name, and in our case it is core-java-demo. Alright, now in here you have to select the JRE. So we are going to use a project specific JRE, which is JDK 11.0.4. Okay, and you just have to click on finish. Now if you don't see this JDK, and there might be cases that when you have multiple versions of Java installed onto your system. Okay, so we just on the screen we just click on don't create. So a project is created. But I was talking about what if you have different versions of Java installed onto your computer and you are not seeing that particular JDK 11.0.4 option. So you just click on Windows and you click on preferences, click on Java, and now you have installed JRE. Okay, so you might not be seeing JDK 11 in here. It's very simple. You just have to click on add, then you have to select the standard VM, click on next, and in here you have to select the directory. Which directory? Where you have installed your JDK. That's it. So you select that folder. Okay, you come in here, you click on finish and you say apply and close. Then you close your Eclipse, you relaunch that, you create a new project, and then you will see that option in there. Alright, so all set. Okay, so now the next step is we have already created the project. Now we got to create a class. But why? Remember in the first video I said we can't create a single program in Java language without first creating a class. So we got to create a class next. But what is a class? So a class is a blueprint or prototype from which objects are created. An analogy would be a class is the architecture design of Burj Khalifa, and the Burj Khalifa is the actual object created from that architecture and design. Okay, so to create a class, just right click on this folder, select new, and then you got to create a class. Okay, now the name of our class would be hello world. All right, and we also need to select this public static void main, and then this in the parentheses you see string array and arguments. Okay, but let's first talk about the naming convention for our class. Okay, so the class name always start with a capital letter, and in our case we have two words. Okay, so if that is the case, then make the first letter of both words capital and remove the space in between the words. Okay, and we'll talk more about naming convention in our future video, but that's the tip for now. Now next is superclass. Okay, so in here you see object. Okay, and before that object you see java.lang. Now this is a package, this is an inbuilt package into Java. An object is the superclass of every classes we are going to create in this whole series. So our classes would be the child class of object superclass. Okay, so let's click on finish and let's observe few things in here. Our class is created inside a default package. So what is a package? A package in Java is used to group related classes. Think of it as a folder in a file directory. We use packages to avoid name conflicts and to write a better maintainable code. Now a package could be inbuilt or user defined. So let's check out some inbuilt packages, and for that just expand this JRE system library, expand this base one, and now in here these are all your packages. And we looked at java.lang.object, right, while we were creating the class. So this is your package java.lang, and there must be a class object in here. So let's scroll down and look out for this. So here is our object class, guys. Okay, and this is how we organize code into Java. Now when you create a real world project, there will be a lot of files. Okay, now there may be a case, for example, class A contains a method run and class B also contains a method run, right? Now with the help of these packages, we'll distinguish which class run method we are trying to execute. Okay, that's why I mentioned these packages help us avoid name conflicts. Okay, where is that conflict in this case? Run. These are two methods, okay, belonging to different classes which are there into different packages. And that's how we resolve the name conflicts. All right. Okay, great. Now for the initial few videos, I'll encourage you to write all your instructions in this main method only. But when we'll start working on creating classes and objects, then we'll create separate files and we are going to write our code in there. Now in this program we are simply going to write few things to the console. Okay, now to do so you have to say system.out.println, and then you have to provide in whatever you want to write to the console, and there's a shortcut for that. So you say syso and you press control space. Okay, so get this, and now in the double quotes you have to say hello world. Okay, that's how we write strings in Java. Now let me do one more thing. So I say int and num is equal to 10, and one more. So again I say syso and I just say number is in a space, then a plus operator, and then I say num, like so. Right guys, so my program is ready. But what is the core purpose of a program in the real world project? In simple words, a program's sole purpose is to fetch data from the database, process it, and serve to the clients. So data being fetched from the database has to be stored into the memory first, during program execution. And for that very purpose, we create variables pertaining to certain data type. And the processing of this data is being done by the methods or function we write in the program. So we can say, in a class, there are certain members. Now these members could be the properties or could be the methods. Properties are used to store data, and method is used to do something. It could be to do with the data, it could be to do with create objects, and so on. Okay. What about these keywords, right? You see that, this hello world, it's, few things are into black, and then we have the color, different color for these keywords like public, class, public, static. What is all that? To understand this better, right? In every language, be it Hindi, English, Spanish, we follow some kind of syntax, isn't it? So in programming also, we implement the syntax using keywords and other constructs. Okay, and these keywords are reserved words. So we have given some names in here like hello world. Okay, then we have given a name to this method, and then we have given this name to the variable. Now we cannot use reserved keywords when creating our own identifiers. We call these as identifiers. So we say we have created a class hello world. All right, now the identifier is hello world. That's the name of the class. Same way in here we have created the method main. That's an identifier for this method. Okay, we are going to identify this method based on this name main, and same way we have created this variable num. Okay, and with the help of this num we are going to identify, hence we call them as identifiers. Okay, there are so many keywords in here. Okay, and it's very important that we understand that most of the programmers, when they are beginners, all they do is they read that, okay, they have to write everything within the main, right, then start doing it. Okay, that's fine, but it would be great, it would be an advantage for you if you understand all of this. Okay, it's always a good practice to document your code. Why? Because a real project, you're working on one module. All right, you complete that module, then you move on to another module, and then there is a change in module 1. A new request has come from the business and you got to implement that. You come back after a week or so, you start looking at your code and does not make any sense to you, and you're wondering who wrote this code. It can't be me. All right, so in those cases you document your code so that when you revisit your code it makes sense to you. Same way we review the code, okay, in the real world projects, so the reviewer has to understand what you are trying to accomplish from that method. So this documentation again will help the reviewer to understand what are you trying to accomplish using that method. Okay, all right. Now there are two ways you can write comments in Java. Right, this is one way, and then you enter comment like so. Okay, the other way is multi-line. If you want to spread your comments across multiple lines, then guys, this is a syntax forward slash star, and like so. All right, so you see you can now enter in multiple lines in here. In short, what we can say, a comment is used to document code, and guys, these statements are ignored by the compiler. Okay, next one is public. Okay, guys, public is an access modifier. Now what is an access modifier? Well, access modifier specifies the scope of field, method, constructor, or class. Now, besides public, we also have default, private, and protected. So it defines who can access this, okay, and where. So then we have next keyword as class. I already talked about it. A class is a blueprint or prototype from which objects are created. Next is the identifier. This is the name of the class. Okay, and guys, we have this opening and closing bracket. Okay, what are these? So this is called as a block. So block in Java is a group of one or more statements. A block begins with an opening brace and ends with a closing brace. Between the opening and closing braces, you can code one or more statements. We use blocks to define the scope. For example, we have created this method main, and here's the opening block and here's the closing block. Okay, and we have created this variable. Now this variable is called as a local variable. By local, I mean the scope of this variable is limited to these curly braces. Okay, scope is quite confusing to the beginners. Okay, so just remember these opening and closing braces. these braces defines the scope. Okay, now this is the signature of this very important method, guys. This is the entry point of your Java program. Okay, so we are going to play with all these different keywords in a while, but just remember this signature is very important and you can't change anything in this signature. All right, so then we have static. Now it's a non-access modifier which is used for creating class methods and variables. Now besides static we have final, abstract, synchronized and volatile. Don't worry, so I'll just again briefly explain this. So we create classes so that we can create object from them. Okay, now there are certain fields or properties, okay, which are accessible at the object level, and there are certain fields and properties which are accessible only at the class level. Okay, now if you want a property to be accessible at the class level or a method to be accessible at the class level, you define those methods as static. Okay, then the next thing is void. Now we create methods in programming so that we don't need to duplicate our code. We write the set of instructions once and we can call those instructions again and again and again by simply invoking our method. Okay, now the thing is, when you're creating a method, you're doing some job. Okay, and the job could be that it returns you something or it just does the job and does not return you anything. Okay, so when a program returns you anything, okay, so you define the return type of your method. And if a program does not return anything, you say the return type is void. Okay, now when does a method return? So method returns to the code that invoked it when it completes all the statements in the method and it reaches a return statement, or throws an exception, whichever occurs first. So that's about the return type of a method. Okay, and guys, again, this is the identifier, that's the name of the method. Then we have this string. So strings are sequence of characters. Okay, like I say, John is a sequence of JOHN. Okay, so John is a string in Java. Okay, now the Java platform provides the string class to create and manipulate strings. Why is it a class? Look at the first letter, it's in capital. Okay, then we have the square brackets. What are these? Now these are arrays. When do we use arrays? Imagine like you have num1 is equal to 10, num2 is equal to 20, num3 is equal to 30. So you have created three variables. What if you want to store 10, 20 and 30 in just one variable? So then in that case you create integer type array. Okay, in our case we say string of arrays, meaning you can store like John, Smith, all the strings that you want to store in here. And in the main method, when we pass these arguments, okay, so these are called as command line arguments. Now guys, the thing is, let's imagine there's a method to create a cup of tea, and you say, okay, you require this much of water, you require this much of sugar, you require this much of milk, you boil this mixture for so many minutes. All right, now you see, there are people who like more milk in the tea, there are people who like more sugar in the tea, but if there is no way for you to control that in your method, all right, you are going to end up creating a static method, which is very much like you're repeating the same set of statements again and again. So whatever thing that may vary or may change depending upon certain situations, you pick those out from those instructions and you supply those things as arguments, and that makes your method dynamic. Okay, and that's our core objective. We want to make things dynamic. Okay, I create a property, a static property, and I give it int age is equal to 30. Okay, now if you want to access this, okay, so you have to, because this is a static, so you have to use the class. Okay, don't need to create an object for it, and then you say age. So The moment you do dot, this is a dot operator, okay, you would see the method, okay, and the property. So using this dot, you access the members of a class. Okay, this is how we access members, and members could be property as well as method. Then the next thing that you have to see is this semicolon. Okay, Java statements must end with a semicolon. The basic rule is that declaration and expression statements must end with a semicolon, but most other statements types do not. Like in here, we do not have this. Okay, same for the method declaration, we don't have this. All right. Now, next thing is this integer. All right, just like in a in the normal world, we have names, right, which are represented as set of characters. Then we have numbers, okay, which are represented in numerics. Same way in programming, we have different data types. Okay, we call those as data types. So I want to store number 10, okay, in the memory, and that memory would be referenced by this identifier num. Okay, but then I have to tell that, hey OS, this variable is of type integer, because when we say a variable is of a certain type, right, we are instructing operating system to allocate a specific size of memory. Okay, now variable. What is a variable? Well, a variable is a piece of memory that contains a data value. Okay, and therefore a variable has a data type. Then we have this equal to, right? We use this in math as well. This is called as assignment operator in Java, and it is used to assign values to a variable. All right, guys. Now it's time to execute this program. How do we do that? We first save our program. Okay, you do a right click and you say run as Java application. That is one way, or you could also run it from here. But why not we first execute it from the command line? Because in the very first video he said we create the source file, then compile that, and that generates the bytecode, and then we hand this bytecode to JVM, isn't it? All right, guys, so let's do that. We do a right click and we say show in System Explorer. Okay, an interesting thing is that our IDE automatically compiles the code that we write. Okay, I'll show you. So I just open this. So in here, you only see the SRC, which is a package which gets converted into a folder. You have SRC, but you also have bin, and you see the dot class, meaning that IDE has already compiled this. Okay, but anyways, we would like to do it from scratch. Okay, to understand the concepts. So I just opened my terminal at this location. How do we compile? We say Java C, which is the Java compiler, and then we provide the name of the file. Now, interesting thing, if you might have not already realized that the name of the class is what? Hello world. Okay, and the name of the source file is hello world.java. Okay, so the name of the class and name of the file are same. Okay, that's how it works. If I hit enter, now it is going to generate the bytecode for us. Where? At the same location. Okay, in here. Now if you want to execute this, what do you have to say? You have to say Java. Now you are executing the bytecode using this command Java, and you say hello world dot class. No, you remove this dot class. You just say hello world, and guys, you see the output. Okay, the advantage of IDE is in one step you just click on this and you see the same result. Now the console tab is added and you see the same result. And read this bytecode. I do a right click, open that in Notepad++. Okay, some garbage, I can't read it here. But if I drag it to my I see that. Okay, all right, let us delete this. Now guys, why not create our own package? So I say new package and I say part 3. Okay, let's create a class and we say hello name. Let's again select this public static void main method. All right, and in here I say hello space, then I add and args 0. All right, so guys, don't worry about this. This is how we access elements within array. Okay, so I'm saying that I want to access the element present at the first place, meaning 0 index, because in programming index starts with 0. The first element is at 0 index, and I mentioned this is how you can supply command line arguments to your program. So we save it. Okay, and we know that in the bin we'll find the class. Okay, so we see the class in here. Why don't I open the command from here? All right, so I already have the class, so I just have to say Java and the name of the class, like so, and I have to provide in the argument. So I provide in the argument John. Okay, I hit enter. It says cannot find or load main class hello name. Okay, all right. Now the thing is, when you are working inside the packages, okay, remember how did we see that java.lang.object, the super class? Okay, so same way we have to say like this, and we have to say Java, and then we have to provide in the full qualified name. Full qualified name is package name followed by the class name. All right, so we say part 3 dot hello name. And what if you don't provide the command line argument? You hit enter. All right, the problem is solved, but now we get this runtime error. So there are two type of errors, guys: compile time error and runtime errors. And runtime errors are really, really bad. Compile times error are easy to catch. So if you say voids, okay, you immediately get this error. This is called as compile time error. So this ID, right, will figure the compile time error out for you. Okay, you don't need to worry about those. But you see, it is not complaining about this because the program expects the user to provide the argument from the command line. If the user is not providing it, right, well, what we can do? Okay, we have to handle this error, and we are going to see that in future videos. But for now, let's provide in that argument. So we say hello name and John, and now it will print hello John, right? That's one more thing. Now I said we are going to play with this public static void main. So what if I make it private? Would my program still run? Let me save this and run this, and I get the error. Main method not found in class hello world. It's there, guys, but you see it is private. These are called as access modifier. Who can see, where they can see, and things of that nature. Please define the main method as exactly like this. Okay, so let me change it back to public. And what if I get rid of this static, or I make it final? I mean, that's another non-access modifiers, right? So I just save it. Final means constant, guys. So I just save it, run this again. It is again going to, please define main method is not static in class key hello world. All right, it has to be static. Let's change it back, and instead of void I say int. It is going to return an int, and now I have to say return int. Num is an integer, right? So again, you see there is no compile time error. All right, these are all runtime errors. So I run it again, get this error. Main method must return a value of type void, but this program is returning a number. Does not make sense. Okay, so it's not liking it. All right, now instead of main I say mains. Right, I save it and I run it again. It's still going to complain. Please define the main method as this. Main method not found. All right, let me change it back. Instead of string, guys, can I say integer? Would it work again? compiler is not complaining, but you see we get an error. All right, like so. Now can I change this? Would it work? It works. All right, so the only part that you can change is the name of the argument, guys. All right, and it would work. Okay, so we have covered a lot of Java fundamentals in this video, and if you have understood half of it, man, you're making a great progress. Okay, so in the future video we'll cover all of this into a lot of details. So I'll see you in the next video.